Zabit Magomedsharipov is one of the biggest prospects in the sport of MMA. He has the kind of fighting style and skills to draw in any kind of fan to the sport. He is for pretty much everybody, the hardcore fans, the casual fans. He performs at a level that everybody can appreciate. Zabit Magomedsharipov pretty much only has one weakness, and it's a big one: cardio. Zabit always gasses out in his fights. It's always in the third round where he slows down significantly. And there's always questions around it because Zabit is not a big, powerful, hulking figure in the cage where his giant muscles are going to need a lot more oxygen in order to generate more energy. Zabit has a slender body type. He has a body type that generally does not expend much energy. When you look at other fighters that are similar to him, such as Max Holloway, the Diaz brothers, Yair Rodriguez, all these fighters are known to have great cardio. They generally do not gas out in their fights. But the drawback of having good cardio is lesser power. You either have big power or you have tremendous cardio. And then you have Kamaru Usman, who completely shatters that norm. But generally speaking, fighters either have cardio or they have a lot of power. Zabit has neither. As unusual as it is for a fighter to have both cardio and power, it is just as unusual for a fighter to have neither cardio or power. And the reasoning behind this has always been around Zabit is a big guy, he cuts a lot of weight for the weight class. He fights at a very fast pace, he explodes too much and does some crazy stuff out there. Well, even though Zabit is 6'2", he's a very tall guy for the division, he is extremely skinny. It looks like he does cut a considerable amount of weight, but evident of other fighters, they don't generally gas out to this level, right? Max Holloway, for instance, I believe cuts even more than Zabit does. And he never gasses out in fights. He doesn't even come close to it. So there's this and the fix to Zabit's pacing. Zabit has slowed down his pace in fights. He is pacing himself a lot more, and this is very evident in his last contest against Kelvin Kattar, but still, he gassed out the same. Whether he's jumping off the cage for showtime kicks or he's just sticky behind a jab, he gasses out all the same. Well, it turns out the reason why Zabit has bad cardio has nothing to do with the way he fights. It has nothing to do with his body type. It probably has nothing to do with his weight cut. It's a medical reason. Zabit has been diagnosed with diaphragm spasms, the equivalent of muscle spasms that you get, but in the diaphragm. And as you can pretty much figure out, the diaphragm is responsible with helping you breathe. And if it has spasms, it makes your breathing a lot more difficult. And in some cases, depending on the kind of workout that you're going through, it can even be painful. And frankly, the harder it is to breathe in a fight or any kind of intense workout, the faster you are going to fatigue and gas out. The harder the workout is, the worse the spasms are going to be. And when you're fighting for 15 minutes at the level that Zabit is, you can just imagine how bad his diaphragm spasms are. Now, diaphragm spasms can be caused by various different reasons. They can be caused by a hiatal hernia, which is pretty much where the upper part of the stomach is going to bulge into the diaphragm, which ultimately is going to weaken the muscles. In order to treat this hernia, it's going to need surgery, and Zabit is thinking to soon go to surgery. We don't know exactly what for, but it could possibly be for this reason. Another cause for diaphragm spasms is an irritation on the phrenic nerve. This nerve controls the muscles of your diaphragm and pretty much is responsible with sending signals to your brain, which allows you to breathe without thinking about it. If the phrenic nerve is somehow damaged or irritated, this may cause Zabit, for an example, lose the ability to take automatic breaths. He would actually have to think about it in order to take breaths. The way the phrenic nerve can be irritated or damaged can be by some sort of injury, whether it be a spinal cord injury, some kind of physical trauma, which can happen in mixed martial arts, or something went wrong with a surgery. And frankly, diaphragm spasms in general can be caused from some kind of trauma, whether it be a blow to the chest, a blow to the abdomen. For an example, when you're sparring all the time or when you're fighting all the time, the amount of damage you take to the body can potentially cause diaphragm spasms to happen. And like we know about Zabit's body, he's very skinny. Maybe him getting hit to the body creates even more damage, which potentially can cause diaphragm spasms easier. So frankly, Zabit Magomedsharipov has not been fighting at 100%. He's always been greatly compromised when he's going into fights. A cardio issue is one of the biggest weaknesses you can have in the fight game. And Zabit is now considering to go to surgery, but we don't know exactly for what. It's been speculated that Zabit is going to surgery for the diaphragm spasms. If that's the case, it looks like perhaps that his diaphragm spasms were caused by a hernia or the phrenic nerve was irritated. And if his phrenic nerve is irritated, they usually use a breathing pacemaker to solve this issue. The pacemaker is going to take over the responsibility of sending messages to the brain and the diaphragm. I don't know exactly how Zabit is going to be cleared to fight with a pacemaker, so if that is what he's going to go through, maybe it's the reason why he said he doesn't know if he's going to continue fighting after the surgery. They pretty much said that whatever happens in the surgery is going to dictate if he's going to be able to fight or not. If he is indeed getting surgery for the diaphragm spasms, it's going to be iffy if he's going to be cleared to fight. let's say he is, we are potentially going to see a Zabit Magomedsharipov who's ready to go 5 rounds. And that is a scary thought for every fighter in the featherweight division. If you thought fighters were ducking him back then, watch how many fighters are going to duck post-surgery Zabit.